On the 8th of December 1980, John Lennon was murdered outside his home in New York City.
You have to ask yourself the question, why John Lennon's death is being felt so widely, so deeply.
Incredibly, for a crime of this magnitude, the case never went to trial. So the facts of what happened have never been publicly established. Conspiracy theories have grown.
These FBI files clearly reveal Lennon was considered a political threat.
In the case of the assassination of a musical genius.
Nobody's ever given peace a complete chance. Gandhi tried it, Martin Luther King tried it, but they were shot.
Please subscribe to our channel. John Lennon created some of the most beautiful music ever recorded, and Mark David Chapman murdered him. That the latter receives the lion's share of the time in the docuseries John Lennon, Murder Without a Trial, speaks volumes about media culture, and how the popularity of true crime brings perpetrators the very notoriety that some of them seek. Don't you curious about what exactly goes on inside the heads of people who kill famous person, before or after committing the crime? This essentially qualifies Apple TV's John Lennon, Murder Without a Trial as one of the most anticipated docuseries of the year. Lennon, as we all know, was brutally shot to death by one Mark Chapman on the 8th of December, 1980, outside his residence, the famous Dakota apartments in NYC. The three-part documentary attempts to look into the nitty-gritties of the fateful day, as well as the murder investigation, along with the most important aspect of the whole thing, i.e., why did Mark Chapman do it? Randomly being gunned down at the age of only 40 is already one of the saddest possible fates one could ever have, but what particularly makes the tragedy far more devastating is the fact that the former Beatle was on the verge of a comeback. He went reclusive in the mid-70s, and for years, he stayed clear of the media. But when the 80s began, Lennon was energetic, flowing with creative juices, and about to start his new musical journey. His inspiration was his young son, Sean, who would later become a musician himself. He was not only a happy man genuinely excited about work, he spread the energy to people around him as well, including his then-wife, Japanese artist-activist Yoko Ono, and music producer Jack Douglas. The day was filled with productivity. Lennon sat down for an interview after so many years, and he was very enthusiastic about it. That was followed by a usual recording season, which ended with Lennon leaving the studio all happy and content, as described by Douglas, whose last image of Lennon remains the artist boarding the elevator with a smile on his face. Sadly, though, Lennon couldn't return to his home as, right after getting out of his limousine, Chapman shot him right outside his apartment. He still had a pulse when he was taken to the Roosevelt Hospital, but it was too late and he'd suffered too much blood loss already. We get a detailed account of what exactly happened right before and after Lennon's death from various people, who were all gracious enough to appear in front of the camera to share their accounts. Concierge Jay Hastings, who was managing the Dakota apartments at the time, porter Joe Menny, and taxi driver Richard Peterson, who just happened to be there, all shared what happened and how they reacted to what would eventually be considered as one of the most shocking crimes in history. The most shocking thing was that Chapman didn't run away, even after shooting John Lennon. He was all quiet and calm and was reading the book in his hand, The Catcher in the Rye. The documentary shifts the focus to Chapman from Lennon as it tries to get to the bottom of the crime Chapman committed. What shocked everyone who was involved in the high-profile case was Chapman's behavior after doing it. Neither did the young man try to escape, nor did he make any attempt to stop getting arrested. The people who were in charge of the investigation were puzzled by the attitude. Chapman didn't have any prior criminal record either, which further confused everyone. In the upcoming days, though, a conspiracy theory emerged that brought the FBI and CIA, as well as the US government, into the fold. There were always rumors about the government using things like hypnosis to eliminate certain people they deemed dangerous, with the CIA orchestrating it. Why was Lennon on their radar? Because of his political ideology, he openly shared how he envisioned a perfect world without any country or religious barriers. Apparently, the idea was not exactly liked by the US authorities, and they were keeping an eye on Lennon. However, as the trial was approaching, Chapman's legal team was leaning into the angle of insanity. That's the only way for the man to get out of this, which seemed like a distant dream. Chapman's traumatic childhood and young adult years are explored through his classmate and a former girlfriend. We also get a peek at the seemingly strange relationship he shared with his wife, Gloria, where she sort of took his side. While it was anticipated that Chapman would plead innocent and the case would go to trial, the man ended up pleading guilty, which got him a life sentence. In the final moments of John Lennon, Murder Without a Trial, we see Chapman in a live interview where he is thanking the Almighty and apologizing to the world for what he did. And the reason for him to do that was as bizarre as it could get, promoting the Salinger novel. What you make of that is up to you. So that's John Lennon, Murder Without a Trial documentary summary and ending explained. I hope you like this video. Please leave a comment and subscribe to this channel. See you in another video. Bye.